Hello, I'm Beth, this is Read Remark, and today we're going to be talking about No Exit by Taylor Adams. Dun dun dun! So I am on a personal mission right now to get through all of my unread Book of the Month Club books. I belong to their subscription service in which they will curate the 5 best books as deemed by them for the month, and then let us choose to buy one or skip for the month. This is not an endorsement. I pay for my subscription just like anyone else does. I am not connected in any sort of way with Book of the Month other than as a paying member. But I have noticed that I have a bad tendency to add up my hardcover books for some reason and then just hoard them. I don't read them. So I've got like 5 different Book of the Month Club books that I need to get through before I will allow myself to order a new one. It's really hard because every month they've got stuff that looks really, really good. So I recently did The Wives by Taryn Fisher, and then today I'm going to talk about No Exit by Taylor Adams. The cover alone had me intrigued. I'm going to read it to you because it's only like 3 sentences. 13 hours, 4 strangers, 1 missing child. No exit. She knows her odds. She'll fight anyway. So this was the book way back in December 2018, and I read the description and said, wow, that's thrilling. I can't wait to read it. And then it sat on my shelf for a full year before I even picked it up. So I've got a really great track record so far. Now, the description was really good, super intriguing. The book itself, I was not too crazy about. So if this was like your favorite book of the year and you absolutely loved it, maybe just skip this review because it might rub you the wrong way. I usually don't like to give bad reviews. If I really hate a book or if I'm indifferent, I'll just move past it or maybe mention it quickly in a wrap-up. But considering that I paid $15 of my actual hard-earned money on this, I feel like I kind of owe it to myself in terms of investment and ROI to talk about it fully and give my honest opinion. I don't really buy books that often unless it sounds really, really good. So here's a quick rundown of the book. Our main character's name is Darby. She is driving on a long, lonely stretch of road at night during a snowstorm to get to her ailing mother. Time is not on her side. She needs to rush to get there, otherwise she would just wait out the storm, but she has to hurry because her mom is sick and needs her. Of course, the snow gets the best of her and her car. Darby pulls over to a kind of rinky-dink rest stop and finds that there are 4 other adults there. Now, let me get into some of the things that the author does well first before I get into the things I didn't love about this book. One of the things I liked was that Taylor Adams did great at setting the scene. He talks about the fact that there's this little drink station set up for coffee and cocoa, and both of those words are misspelled. You can tell this isn't exactly a professional operation where they're going to have all the top-of-the-line Wi-Fi and communication devices and things like that. You can tell it's going to be pretty run down. It's going to be, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Another thing that the author does well is giving us some of the pleasure that you get in horror movies. Here's what I mean by that. This book isn't horror. It's more of a thriller / suspense / action. But when you think about a horror movie, you get to the apex of the horror and then the heroine does something incredibly stupid. Like she'll decide to go take a shower, or she'll go take a walk in the woods, in the dark, dark woods. And so you get plenty of that in this book. You get lots of moments where you're saying, why in the world did our protagonist make that decision? Because there are lots and lots of bad decisions that happen in this book. And that actually brings me right into the things that I did not like about the book. The first one of which is the really colossally bad decisions that Darby, our main character, makes. Here's one of the bad decisions. Darby goes outside to make a phone call, trying to get a cell signal. On her way back in, she stops by the van of one of the people who are at the rest stop and sees a little girl in a cage. And then she does nothing. She just goes inside, sits with the group, and just kind of sits there watching them. I don't get why she did that. Now, I realize that sometimes situations take a little more finesse. They take a little more of a subtle hand. You can't just run in guns a-blazing and yelling, "Why is there a little girl in a cage?" But to do nothing, I mean, that is really, really, really underplaying your hand to the point of inaction. And it was just a little too passive. Another thing I didn't love about this book was the instant familiarity some of the characters had with Darby. For example, they called her Darbo or Darbs, and it just grated on my nerves so bad. Or they all seemed to have this instant witty repartee right upon meeting. And it didn't seem natural at all. Another thing that didn't seem very natural was the fact that one of the characters was just weird. Stereotypically weird. Think Oren from Parks and Rec. You know, the weird little guy who just kind of skulks in the corner like, That's what one of the characters seemed like. And it just, I was like, is this for real? Is this, really? But no, it's for real. That was really the character. There also seemed to be this prolonged antagonization of Darby. Don't know if that's the right word, but it seemed almost as if a bad character was practically drumming their fingers and going, "Yes, I'm evil, evil!" And it brings me to another thing I didn't love about the book, and that was bad dialogue. Oh, it was comically bad. At one point, one of the characters even says, "Girlie, I'm coming for ya." I mean, who says that? A lot of the dialogue was just weird, and the fact that someone kept calling her Darby and Darbs and Darbo and come on. Another thing is that there was a slightly supernatural element that was kind of hinted at but not really followed through upon, and that bugged the crap out of me. You know me, I'm talking constantly about Chekhov's gun and this theory that if you put the gun on the table by the end of the first act, that gun better go off. Well, I feel like this is another unfired Chekhov's gun in that this slight supernatural power is kind of hinted at, but the author goes nowhere with it. So, for example, Darby a few times has this little premonition of something that's about to happen right before it happens, and she's able to flinch just in time. People ask her, "How did you know to do that?" And she goes, "I don't know, I just did." Or sometimes the antagonist manages to find their way out of danger just in the nick of time, as if some supernatural force had seen the danger coming towards the antagonist and shifted things the other way so that it would miss that person. It just, you know, the gun is there, but it doesn't go off. The hint of a supernatural element is there, but it's not really carried further. If you're going to put it in the story, put it in the story. Otherwise, skip it. If you're going to hint at it, go there. Go there. If you want to take your story on a completely weird wackadoo road, then commit to it. Don't give this like slight little hint that you just kind of barely poke at and then never ever really go towards. And then of course there's the Michael Bay element that does come back to us later. It's almost like how many flashbangs, explosions, injuries. It's almost like Die Hard Darby style. I mean, it's just one thing piles up after another to a point that it's a bit much. It's a bit much. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do not like to discourage authors, so my hope is that the author never catches wind of this rinky-dink little channel and never sees this video. This was not my favorite book. So let me know what you thought. I did look through Goodreads and saw that there were several people who loved this book. They loved all the adventure, all the thrilliness of it. I did not. Sorry. I don't know how to end it. Oh, I'm so classically bad at closing out a bad review that I'm not quite sure how to gracefully end it, so I will just say that is the end of this review. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that it was less than complimentary, and I'm sure the next one will be great. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will catch you next time. Bye. He's so